Sometimes, the smallest words can leave the biggest mark on someone's life. This is the story of Daniel, a boy who almost slipped through the cracks, and a teacher who refused to let that happen. Not every kid shows up to school with shiny shoes or a brand new backpack. Some kids walk in carrying struggles you can't see. Daniel was one of those kids. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't dumb, but his family didn't have much. His father worked double shifts at a factory, and his mom cleaned houses just to make ends meet. Some days, Daniel came to school with no lunch. Some days, he wore the same shirt 3 days in a row. When you're a kid, little things like that matter. They whisper to you, you don't belong here. You don't matter. And after a while, Daniel started to believe it. Most teachers, they didn't even notice him. He was that quiet kid in the back. Not a troublemaker, not a star, just invisible. But one teacher did. Her name was Mrs. Carter. She wasn't the kind of teacher who just handed out homework and left. She paid attention. One day, during a science experiment with baking soda and vinegar, Daniel's eyes lit up. Everyone else was laughing at the fizz and bubbles, but Daniel, he leaned in. He wanted to know why it happened. Mrs. Carter noticed. And that day, when class ended, she saw Daniel hanging back, almost afraid, but still asking little questions in a soft voice. And she stopped him, looked him straight in the eye and said, "Daniel, you're smarter than you think. Don't let the world tell you otherwise." Those words hit him like lightning. No one had ever said that to him before. And that moment, it stayed with him. From that day on, Mrs. Carter made sure Daniel knew he wasn't invisible. She gave him extra books. She stayed after school to explain tough lessons. She even spent her own money to buy him a used lab kit. It wasn't fancy, just old glass tubes, a few wires, and some chemicals, but to Daniel, it felt like treasure. While the rest of the world saw, just another poor kid, Mrs. Carter saw something more. But here's the truth. Life didn't magically get easy. Daniel still had to work after school to help his dad. He still came home to babysit his younger siblings. Some nights, he was so tired he could barely keep his eyes open to do homework. And yes, there were times he wanted to quit. But whenever he felt like giving up, he heard her voice in his head. "Keep going. You're meant for more. Dash dash." Slowly, things began to change. Daniel started raising his hand in class. He began entering science fairs, sometimes with little projects made out of scrap parts he found in the garage. And every time he doubted himself, Mrs. Carter was there, not pushing him too hard, but reminding him, "You're capable. Don't forget that." That kind of belief, it's contagious. Years later, Daniel stood on a stage in front of hundreds of people. But this time, he wasn't wearing the same old shirt from middle school. He was wearing a white coat. Not just Daniel anymore. Dr. Daniel, a scientist, someone who would go on to change lives. When reporters asked him what inspired him, he didn't talk about famous scientists. He didn't mention expensive schools or big scholarships. He just smiled and said, "It was one teacher, one person who believed in me, when I didn't believe in myself." Dash dash dash. Moral, humanized ending. Here's the thing, you don't always need a crowd to change someone's life. Sometimes, all it takes is one person. One person who notices the kid in the back of the class. One person who says, "I see you. You matter. I believe in you."